We back, baby. We back. This is your boy Ricondo coming back at you with another video. And guys, we are finally back. It has begun. The Atlanta Falcons are in training camp today, the first day on the field. Shout out to the people that was out there on the hill. I think it was sold out today. Glad you guys was out there representing the team, showing the love for our guys. And hey, it's ready. It's go time. That's what it's all about. It's go time today. So, guys, we're gonna talk about what we heard from some of the coaches and players today, and then we'll talk about um Michael Penix Jr. What his confidence that he showed in his interview. We talk about Kyle Pitts, who was the story of the day. We'll talk about defense and starting and who's going to be starting on defense. All right, we're gonna talk about that as well. So we're just gonna, recap the day when we heard from the team, the highlights that we've seen out there, um, and just the excitement that's in the air for the Atlanta Falcons, just like it is really for all the NFL teams around the league. Because guess what? Football is back. So, guys, with that being said, if you have not already, go ahead and please subscribe to the channel. Please hit that notification bell so you know I drop another video. Please hit the like button so I know you guys are here to talk about. Then please share my video throughout the YouTube universe so more people can come here and talk about. That's right, these Atlanta Falcons. So, guys, right off the bat, we're going to talk about Coach Morris, what he had to say today. Um, Coach Morris come out, just like any coach, um, you know, it's one day at a time, trying to get the team, you know, into season mode, right? So you don't want to look too far ahead. You're going to take day by day. You're always talking about the film, you don't want to get too high. He's excited. He's really excited about what he see the guys coming in, ready to go and things like that. But at the same time, you got to temp down the expectations because it's just too early and you got a lot of work to do, right? They got to get some of these guys acclimated to back into going into the playbook, right? Going through all the defensive plays, offensive plays. They got to get that in, right? Then they're gonna, I think pass is coming on Tuesday, so we're gonna get ready for that. So listen to Raheem Morris. I think he got asked this question last year about the identity of the team. And he said the team decides that. It's not something that he decides, right? Which is what you want because the way these guys is their team. The coaches out there going to try to put them in the best positions, to do their business. But at the same time, the team got to go out there and they got to be aggressive, right? And you know, one thing we can say about this team is talented, but it's young, right? And it's the unknowns, right? That's probably what we should call 2025, the unknown season, right? Because right now we really don't know a lot. We're gonna have to see what this team all about. You got some teams in the league that been together for a long time. Got experienced players out there, vets and things like that, and they kind of know what they expect from their team, right? Their players or certain players. I mean, we got players like that on our team as well, but we got some pieces on our team that's going to be filling important roles that's young and inexperienced. So we're going to consider the 2025 season the unknown right now, especially going to training camp. But we like what Raheem Morris had to say. He did tell us about some guys that was out last year that was coming back, guys like Braden Trice. He full go. DeMarco Helen full go. Guys like Kyle Pitts, Caleb McGarry that was, missing during minicamp, right? They're on a kind of certain kind of pitch count, but they're full go as well. However, one guy that did start on the pup list was Troy Anderson, still coming back from the knee injury, but he's right on schedule. So hopefully we get to see him out there in training camp sometime this period as well. So that's pretty much injury. So sounds like mostly everybody's is coming in healthy, ready to go. I like from the first day listening to Raheem Morris. This is the just getting back acclimated day. Got to do it the right way. You do not want to go out and get your guys injured on your first day. You want to kind of ease them back in. They have been out for weeks, so get in, no pass on for the first phase, which is probably the first 4 days. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. They got Monday off, then come back on Tuesday in the padded practice, right? That's pretty much how it's going to go. So, you got to get these guys acclimate these first 4 days. But the fanfare is going to be out there. I will be out there on Saturday. So, please, guys, if you're going to be out there, hit me up. You see me out there. I can't wait to see what these Atlanta Falcons going to do this season. But shout out to Coach Morris going into his second season. Hopefully, he took a lot from last season. He talked. The question was asked about preseason as well. That has not been made, determined this year so yet because it's so like I said, the unknown portions of this team. But he did say some of his philosophy has not changed. So we're going to see how many guys play. They do have a joint practice that they do, and how something that they control. Right, you can control a little bit more in joint practices. Without getting players injured and things like that. Right, so they might do that. That's what they did last year, and then they had that big scrimmage they had towards the end of the training camp last year, and they felt like that was good enough for them to before not deciding to put their guys in the preseason. So we'll just have to see what transpires with that so-called no playing your guys in the preseason. And how it goes, right? If you don't play, your whole offensive line, you probably ain't gonna put your quarterback out there because you want him to be out there with all 5 starters. That goes with your running backs and stuff like that. So you can kind of piecemeal guys in. Now, defense is a little bit different, which I definitely think they probably should consider playing some of those guys on defense. They're so young, but we'll just have to see, man. Like I said, it's early. It's just one day, so we're not going to get wrapped up to the preseason, thing. Not right now. So let's see what happens. We'll see how these things go. The trenches, we still ain't gonna know nothing about the trenches until Tuesday, man, when they start to put pads on. So right now, it's going to be just like OTA, just like minicamp, right there. You're not going to see guys going full blown, especially in the trenches, because they're not in pads. All right, so that's what we had to hear from Coach Morris today, guys. If you heard the whole interview, please give me your thoughts. What you thought what Coach Morris had to say, some nuggets that you thought was interesting, and let's see what they're going to do this year. All right, let's go to the next topic. And just simple, guys. The players are back. I just wanted to come out here and say that they are back. They're back on the field. They're ready to roll. They're all out there, man. We get to see Darnell. We saw Bijan in his highlights doing what he do. Michael Penix throwing the ball downfield, just one of the most prettiest deep balls you're going to see. We're going to see our young studs that's out there that we drafted in the first round, and James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker. We're going to see, Xavier Watts out there, and Billy Bowman out there, and see what kind of reps they get, right? So it's just exciting to see all the players back out on the field. I know the fans that was out there today was excited to be out there. The number I think was like 1,600 fans, which is just awesome, guys. That's a turnout, right? It means that's a lot of belief in this Falcons team, right? It's a lot of unknown, but it's still a lot of belief and believe what this team can get accomplished this year. So that's exciting. But all the players was on the field except Troy Anderson. That's the word. I did see some word about a couple more undrafted guys. We'll just have to see what that's all about. But for the guys that we know that's under contract, still got to make the 53-man roster that's out there on the field. So it's gonna be exciting, man. I know you guys can't wait. I can't wait to get out there Saturday to see what these guys gonna show us. It's like the big day. I've seen David Archer talking about they're going to go live out there. So it's Saturday is the day. Nobody's got to work. It's probably going to be even more packed on Saturday than it was today. We'll just have to see. That means I got to get there on time, get there early. So I'm excited to be there. So I hope you guys are too. But players are back on the field, and guess what? They're back all around the league. If you're checking out other teams around the league. But you should do look at the competition because football is football, right? You want to see everybody out there. Everybody's looking good, man. This is the time of the year when all 30 teams believe they got a goal, and their goal is to go to the Super Bowl. Yes, probably and because and the beauty about it, the NFL is you don't know who it's gonna be, right? You just don't know. Nobody expected the Washington Commanders to go to the NFC Championship last year. Nobody expected that. Let's just be honest, man. Nobody expected that. That's what happened, right? That's how it is. So you never know. A team can go from worst to first just like that. And blink of an eye, it happens, right? So you know, it's unfortunate news about Justin Fields today. We haven't heard anything about that, so we'll definitely check out and see you know wink wink with Kirk Cousins if they need a quarterback. I know that's going to come back. I'm pretty sure it's already going around on it from a national standpoint if he's injured. And that's what the word was, right? Be patient. Somebody unfortunately is going to go down, which is bad for Justin Fields. Hopefully he's fine. The word that he get carted off though, we'll see how tough the injury was, and see what the Jets decide to do and what direction they go. But players are back on the field all across the league, and guys, we are excited. We got football, NFL, and college until like January, February time frame. We back, baby. I know you guys are happy, and so am I. All right, let's get to our next topic. Let's get into talk about some football stuff now. Get all the hoorah stuff out the way. All right, and now we talk about Mr. Kyle Pitts. So apparently today, Kyle Pitts was the talk of the town, right? Um, and he was the talk all off season as well, right? Everybody talked about Kyle Pitts. It's what he's going to do. Of course, we know that they picked up his fifth year option. He's in his fifth year. However, he didn't get offered a contract, so this pretty much is this contract year. Now, you guys recall he was my key to unlocking his offense, right? During the offseason. I put out a video. One of the guys I said was the key to me was Kyle Pitts. I just felt like, if they can unlock the rookie Kyle Pitts that we've seen, this offense could be deadly, deadly, deadly. And right, and we see Michael Penix joke. The first thing he said, we got KP the ball today, right? He said it's gonna be a lot of that. So it was intentional, right? The intentional, you know, thing that Michael Penix was doing today to get the ball to Kyle Pitts, right? That's one of the things we talked about. Everybody want to talk about Kyle Pitts numbers and he haven't produced and things like that. But guys, if you recall, I went over his catches and and how many times he was targeted, and he was fourth on the list behind Bijan. He was fourth on the list behind Bijan. So he wasn't getting targeted like a number 4 overall pick. I know that's what everybody remember him as, a number 4 overall pick, but he's not getting targeted like he's the number 1 option on the team. He's getting targeted like he's the number 4th option. Now that could have something to do with him, but it also, I believe, it has something to do with the way the play is called, the progressions, the way it lays out, right? So the ideal of having the attention to getting Kyle Pitts the ball, it's got to be huge right now. He has to work on some blocking, right, so he can be out on the field more. So when they get ready to run the ball, he's not a liability in that aspect, right? And now he has to beat his one-on-ones, right? But today, the word was that Kyle Pitts and Michael Penix chemistry looked really good. And if that continues, guys, just like I told you guys during the offseason, is that he's the key. I really believe he's the key. We know what Drake's going to do. We know what Darnell's going to do. We know what Tyler and BJ are going to do. But if you can unlock Kyle Pitts, man, that's the answer. And for them to actually go out today and be intentional about giving him the ball, right? We don't know if that's going to continue all through training camp. But if it does, because guess what? We know Drake's going to get the ball. We know Darnell going to get the ball. But calling plays for your number 4 overall tight end, I think is important, right? Get him in the game, right? You just put more pressures on the defense when they're game planning for the Atlanta Falcons on Sundays, Thursdays, Monday nights, right? They would have to game plan not just to stop Bijan, because they're gonna have to do that, right? We know that's probably the number one. We need to stop Bijan Robinson, right? But now you got to worry about Drake London. You got to worry about Darnell Mooney. You got to worry about Kyle Pitts, right? Now you got to worry about the entire offense, and they have to make a decision. What are we going to take away? We seen Bill Belichick, right? Bill Belichick said, "You know what? We're going to take away something. That's what we're going to do. We're going to take away something." Right? Last year in the Super Bowl, what did Kansas City Chiefs decide to do? We're going to take away Saquon Barkley. Right? That's what they did. And Jalen Hurts had to step up. He made his plays. Right? But they took away Saquon Barkley. Teams might come out and be like, "We're going to take away Bijan." Well, okay, take away Bijan. But now you got to deal with that three-headed monster. You can add Ray McLeod in there, who had a career year last year, but Kyle Pitts is the key, guys. And if we can continue to see what we supposedly seen today of him being intentional about getting Kyle Pitts the ball, I think sky's the limit for this Atlanta Falcon team. And like I said, once again, he's the key. He's the key to me. Kyle Pitts. All the other guys have produced, they delivered, they did the things they had to do, but Kyle Pitts is the key. All right. Definitely, guys, let me know what y'all think about that. If you're excited or you still like, we'll see. Maybe you still, out on Kyle Pitts like a lot of, Atlanta Falcon fans are, because he haven't lived up to the number 4 pick, even though he had a pretty good season last year. If you look at his numbers, especially being targeted the 4th most on the team, I just think that, you got to put stuff into context. And last year, I don't think he had a bad season. I just think it was a number 4 overall pick type of season, but it was a decent season for a tight end in offense when you're being targeted the 4th most on the team. So that's just the way I look at it. Definitely want to hear from you guys' take on Kyle Pitts. Please let me know what you think about that. All right. So it's something that interesting, guys. So the word on the street today is that when they started 11-11 on defense, guess who was the starting outside linebackers? It was Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. Jalen Walker and James Pierce Jr. Now that says a lot, right? Now we don't know if it's going to continue. I just want to see what it looks like, but of course, yeah, they number one draft picks, right? Their first round draft picks. Makes sense, right? You got a guy in Armor Katie who's definitely a veteran. I get it, but he's in his contract year. He's been here 4 years and just have not been able to deliver on a consistent basis, right? He did come on last year towards the end of the season, right? You got Leonard Ford, guy that played $10 million, right? But he's on the back half of his career, so it's just interesting to see that James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker was starting today. And like I said, we don't know if that's going to continue to be the case, but just we'll put those guys out there, starting out is telltale, because we heard Coach Morris today say that the intentions is really to get the young guys on the field, right? And he definitely mentioned the last 2 seasons. Remember my last podcast, I talked about the 24 and 25 season, right? And Raheem Morris kind of just echoed what I was talking about. It's just pretty much what he said, right? Brandon Dorlus, Rook Roro, right? Those guys, along with Pierce and Walker, right? All those guys is going to get a lot of PT, right? And they got to. It's a must, right? And this is where sometimes draft stock, kind of takes over for maybe who's starting and things like that, right? Because it's important for Terry Fontenot to hit on some of these draft picks, man. He just got to. But if these guys don't get opportunities to play, we'll never know what they're going to be about. Like, last year, we all know how, team had a lot of more veterans on the team. So some of those guys took a back seat. But now they really don't have a choice, right? They have veterans that could play those positions, but those guys, um, it's not long term don't supposed to be long term solutions for this Atlanta Falcon team. So guys like Rook, guys like Brendan, guys like Zach Harrison, those guys going to be a real factor, on this defense this year. James Pierce, Jalen Walker is going to be factors on his defense this year. So that's one of the unknown things right now, right? Who's starting on defense, right? Usually when you come to training camp, a lot of times that first 11 is kind of solidified. You know who's going to be starting. Now, on the back end, you kind of got an idea a little bit more. Caden Ellis probably starting at one linebacker. We know AJ Terrell starting at the corner, Mike Hughes starting at the corner, Jesse Bates starting at the corner. But guess what? We don't know who's at nickel. We don't know who's the other safety is going to be, right? We don't know that stuff. We don't know who the other linebacker is going to be. We assume it's going to be Divine Diablo, especially since Troy Anderson out, right? We think it's going to be Divine Diablo, right? But on that defensive front line, who's it going to be? That's the question. Who's it going to be? So I think this is why this training camp is going to be so intriguing this year, because we don't know these answers yet. I mean, this is the first day. We won't know a lot, like I said, until they get in the packs on Tuesday, because that's when they start to show the physicality and things like that. But this is something that is going to be so interesting, right? And hopefully the reporters out there can keep us up to date. I'll be out there on Saturday. Still won't be able to see anything physical because they're not in pads. But moving into next week, when they do start to put the pads on, we want to see if those guys still start. Go out there with the first team with 11-11, right? We want to see who's going to be lined up right beside David Amiyata, right? We heard Nate Ali talk about Zach Harrison putting him on being the end, going up against tight ends. He said he should dominate tight ends, right? Brandon Dorlus on the other side. We want to see what this defense is going to look like, because that's one of the things that's really unknown, right? So a lot of new faces on defense, a lot of young faces on defense. So we don't know who's starting, and that's why it's exciting, guys, right? And it's so exciting to the fact that you're going to start the season off your first game 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers, and the Atlanta Falcons can bring some unscouted looks. Right now, every team does this, so it's just like nothing, like, oh wow, right? Every team does it. Even teams like that's been together a long time, right? They put new wrinkles in their defenses or offenses all the time because they want to have some unscouted stuff that first game. But Atlanta Falcons really truly, because some of their personnel are going to be unscouted, right? Especially they don't play in preseason, so Tampa Bay Buccaneers will not have a clue what Atlanta Falcons is going to be doing, right? And that could help them guys out. So we'll see, right? But this is one of the most intriguing things. When they started talking about storylines and things like that, I think a big storyline for this team this year is about who's starting on defense. Right, we kind of got an idea of the offense, and we think that's already solidified. But the defensive side of the ball, this is going to be interesting. You remember some of the things I said that was concerned, right? Stopping the run, right? Who's you going to put out there to start to make sure we can stop the run? We got to do that. Second thing is getting after the quarterback. Who's the best guys out there to get at the quarterback, right? I think, when we looking at our pass rush that we do have, right, getting after the quarterback, I always thought about the whole NASCAR package that they can put out there, and they could put a Caden Ellis, a Jalen Walker, James Pierce, Leonard Floyd, and an Armor Katie. Is that possible to put all those guys on the field like one time, right? They could be light in the box, but at the same time, all those guys have potential to be able to get you know, of the field. You can put Jalen Walker and Kay Nellis in the A and B gap, right there, and get after the quarterback up the middle. You can put James Pierce and Jalen Walker on the outsides, right? You could do so many different things with these guys when you're trying to get after the quarterback, but we don't know, right? We got to wait to see. I'm just throwing out things, guys. We have no clue because we haven't seen the Jeff Albrecht, Raheem Morris, scheme mixed mingled in and how what it's going to look like this season. We don't know yet. It's going to be interesting to see, but I think one of the biggest storylines is who's going to be starting on defense. That just and who's starting nickel, who's starting beside Jesse Bates the third, who's starting, right? Or they're gonna have different packages for different players. Like when they go big nickel, do you bring DeMarco Hellams to come in, and you come in? Can Billy Bowman, come in as a rookie with all the experience he got and that he had in college? Can he come in and be that star nickel? Can Xavier Watts come in and get the spot beside Jesse Bates over Jordan Fuller and DeMarco Hellams? We just don't know. And those are the most intriguing things that you got to look at. Most of the times, like I said, man, you can pin in the 22 players on a roster and be like, that's your starting defense, that's your starting offense, and then all the other guys fit in where they fit in where they can, right? That's what usually what happens. Well, that's not the case this year, right? They have to figure this out. Unfortunately, they can't figure it out until they put pads on because we talk about showing the physicality and things like that. Right now, it's all about what they hear up in the head. We heard James Pierce talk about today. The mental part of the game is what you're trying to focus on right now, right? Make sure you understand the playbook. Don't make mistakes on your calls. Be in the spots you're supposed to be in, stuff like that, right? Tuesday come, it's football, baby. That's what it's all about. So that's what we want to see. But who's starting? That's the question that we need to ask, right? Um, and we're gonna find out, and only time will tell. All right, last topic I'm gonna talk about today, and that is Michael Penix Jr. confidence in the Falcon offense. And guys, his exact words were we're gonna be the best offense in the NFL. That's their goal. They're gonna be the best offense in the NFL. And you gotta like the confidence, man. Guy that played 3 games, right? Um, but you gotta like it. You gotta like the offense, right? And it just brings excitement to this team because you know I believe him. I really do. Because I believe we got the weapons. That's the scary part about it, right? You don't want to get your hopes too high. But man, with I mean, Bijan Robinson is probably one of the best players in the NFL, man. He gets slept on because he's with the Atlanta Falcons and things like that. But he's definitely top 3 running back in this league, right? And potentially could be the best running back in the next couple of years. That's just the truth. That's how good he is. Um, right? Drake London's top 10 receiver in this league. He gets slept on because it's in Atlanta and he ain't been winning, right? Um, so, but Michael Penix confidence in this team, right? And like I said, the first thing he said is KP got the ball today. The the confidence that he shows is so it's so refreshing because it gives, first of all, the confidence he shows already gives the players, they really believe that they can win with this guy, right? And I don't want to go back to Michael Vick, right? But man, people came to the game to see what Michael Vick was going to do. Now, I don't been on the record, and you guys know the track record. Michael Vick, they was not good, in his 6 seasons. They had 2 winning seasons, but he was electric, man. And people came to the game to see what Michael Vick was going to do. And listening to Michael Penix Jr., man, it's almost giving that vibe. It really is, right? His confidence that he showed and believing his offense. I mean, words out his mouth today, it's going to be the best offense in the league, right? And I believe him. Like, that's the kind of vibe he gives, man. I mean, and I'm still trying to figure out. Still trying to figure out. And I guess it's the injuries that he had in college. Is how did this guy how was he the fourth quarterback picked in the draft last year? I just don't understand, man. It's so weird to me. He is so talented, right? And I think he's just starting to scratch the surface, you know, or what he can actually do in this league. The God gifted talent is there. That arm, and maybe he's so confident because he know that arm is just electric, right? He knows what he can do with his arm, and he has done it a lot, right? He has done it a lot. So the confidence that he shows, but then when he look around and he looks at the talent that he has, around him, right? People sleep on this offensive line, but it's one of the best offensive lines in the league. He knows that, right? He knows that, right? One of the best running attacks in the league. He knows number sevens in the backfield and how he's going to help him, right? Because guys, like I said earlier, the first thing defense or coordinators are doing when they look at Atlanta Falcon is trying to figure out how to stop Bijan Robinson. That's their first key, right? Michael Penix, they not ready for him yet. They don't even know yet what Michael Penix is going to do. But they do know Bijan Robinson, what he does, right? So their first scout, I don't care what they can tell lie and say, yeah, we're trying to stop. No, you're not. You're trying to stop Bijan, right? That's their first goal. And when you do that, you're going to open up the offense with Michael Penix. It's a given, right? It's a given. And you guys, you heard about what I said earlier. The key, Kyle Pitts, right? They can, be intentional like they was today, and giving him the ball as well. I believe Michael Penix when he said this offense could be the best in the league. I really believe it. I don't think he's just talking, like all teams talk. They started training camp. We went to the Super Bowl, right? I believe he really believes that. And that confidence that he's showing, he's putting that into his fellow teammates, right? The offensive line, they believe it, right? The coaching staff starting to believe it, right? Kyle Pitts, the energy that he's showing, right? That he's believing it, right? So I really think that Michael Penix is bringing that electricity back to the Atlanta Falcons, right? We knew Matt Ryan. Matt Ryan, we know who Matt Ryan was. Matt Ryan was steady. He's going to produce. He did it for 14 seasons. That's what he did, right? But that electricity and that excitement, that's not what he brought to the team. And that's okay because that's Matty Ice, man. Matty Ice did what he did, right? But Michael Penix, we don't know what kind of throw we're going to see. We don't know what kind of play we're going to see, right? We don't know what we're going to see with Bijan, right? We don't know what kind of 50-50 balls Drake London going to get, right? We just don't know. And that's why it's so exciting. And like I said, guys, Michael Penix said we're going to be the best offense. And I believe it, man. Yes, 3 starts in the league, and he already that confidence because he believe in his abilities, right? So man, this is the first day, and we got to start, calm down a little bit because we're going to be got exploded by the end of training camp, right? But we got so much. They got so long, they got a long way to go. They really do. They really do. Day one, like I said, just getting acclimated back on the field from being out 5 weeks. Past the first day on Tuesday, we get to start see the physicality, the trenches, and kind of starting to get that feel and things like that. But it's back, baby. I know you guys happy. I'm happy. Um, Hopefully we start to get more and more, insight of what's going on. This first 4 days is going to be light because like I said, they're acclimating back on the field, no pass and things like that. But that next four, that Tuesday through Friday, man, it's gonna be something special to see. So I can't wait to see it. I know you can't wait to see it either. Um, T. Terry says, and PJ looks like a rock star out there with the fans cheering for him. Yeah, man, he's bringing that electricity, like I said. And last time we seen it was with number 7. Um, let's just hope the we win more games than we did with Mike. So let's the other left-handed Mike. So guys, I definitely want to hear from you guys. Let me know what you think about the first day of training camp. Not a whole lot that we can take from it. Just insights and things like that. What we heard from the reporters, we heard from the players, the coaches, and stuff like that. Definitely go if you have not listened to those guys. Go listen to those guys. See what they got to say. Please give me feedback, what your thoughts and things like that. But it's exciting. We're back, guys. It has begun. This is your boy Rick Hundo coming back at you with another video. Peace.